Hello students, let's see the question. The question is, which organelle is known as the powerhouse of the cell and why? So the question is that what type of organelle is called the powerhouse of the cell? So we know that inside the cell we are having many cell organelles, and out of those all the cell organelles there is a certain cell organelle called as the powerhouse of the cell. And why it is called, we have to answer that. So the cell organelle which is called as the powerhouse of the cell is mitochondria. Mitochondria is the cell organelle which is called as the powerhouse of the cell. Now the question arises that what do we mean by powerhouse of the cell and why it is called so? So it is called powerhouse of the cell. Why? Because it forms energy, or it forms ATP. It is a form in which energy is stored. Energy inside the cell is stored in this form, in ATP form. So whenever we know that the cell, everything in order to properly function requires energy to carry out the every process. So similarly, the cells also, they need energy to carry out day-to-day life processes, and this energy is basically formed by mitochondria with the help of respiration, because mitochondria's function is that it undergoes the process of respiration. So respiration occurs in mitochondria, and this respiration which occurs in mitochondria, the end product leads to the release of energy in the form of ATP. So within the respiration process, we form ATP, and ATP is basically a type, or we can say a way, in which energy inside the cell is stored. It is a form. So whenever the cell requires energy, it just takes out its ATP, it breaks the ATP bonds, and the bonds store a lot of energy. So whenever an ATP bond is broken, a lot of energy is released. And by using that energy, the cell is able to carry out all the day-to-day functions and all the day-to-day necessary activities which it has to do. So the mitochondria is called the powerhouse of the cell because our body requires energy to function every day, and every cell is forming a lots and lots of energy on a daily basis, so that collectively our body can function, because we are having energy to function, to do all the activities, and that energy is being formed by the cell, and inside the cell that energy is being formed by the mitochondria by the process of respiration. So that's why we call mitochondria as the powerhouse of the cell. Moreover, this respiration process forms ATP, and ATP is formed through what? So ATP is formed through the food we intake. The food we intake, it undergoes oxidation. So the food we intake undergoes oxidation, and that oxidation ultimately leads to the production of ATP. So this is the entire cycle, that we do food intake, the food oxidizes, and after the oxidation, the food ATP is eventually formed by the process of respiration, and it occurs on only the mitochondria. So we can write that why mitochondria is called the powerhouse of the cell. It is called powerhouse of cell because it is responsible For extracting energy from the food through cellular respiration. So cellular respiration leads to the extraction of energy in the form of ATP, and this energy is basically in the form of ATP. It's stored in the cell in the form of ATP. So I hope you understood this question.
Don't forget to like and subscribe.